What's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here, and today I want to do a durability test on Apple's brand new Apple Watch Sport Edition. So we're going to be doing several tests to see how this thing is going to hold up in the long run. A year from now, is your Apple Watch going to survive everything life has to throw at it? So we're going to be doing some scratch tests, even a drop test, basically see how much impact this display can take before shattering. And this is, by the way, the ion strengthened glass. Apple has chose to replace the sapphire glass in the higher end models with ion strengthened glass used on the iPhone 6 in order to maintain a higher shatter resistance. As you guys know, sapphire is better for scratch resistance. So we're going to see how this thing holds up to scratches, not only the display, also the body. And by the way, this is the Sport 38mm, the one that survived the water test the other day. Surprisingly, these things are more durable than Apple's letting on about them. Let's go ahead and run through some tests and see how this thing holds up to scratches, drops, basically what life has to throw at it. All right, so here I've got an assortment of screws, nails, just a bunch of bolts and metal bits. Basically, I want to do an accelerated scratch test. The display on the Apple Watch Sport isn't geared very well towards scratches, and in day-to-day usage, you're going to bump it on things. You're going to scratch this thing, the band itself, and I want to see in an accelerated scratch test how well this thing is going to hold up to a whole bunch of metal, going at it from many angles. And over the months, is this thing going to look just as good as when you got it out of the box? Is it going to hold up well to time? All right, so here it is. It's in setup mode. Basically, when you take it out of the box, this is what it's going to look like. Overall 38mm in very good cosmetic shape. It's brand new. Let's go ahead and set this guy in here. A couple bolts and things on there. All right, seal this guy up. And about 10 seconds I think should do. And let me put it face down too. All right, that should be adequate. Oh, it's dirty. So let's take a look, see how this thing fares. So the band looks like this thing absorbs dirt very well, the Sport band anyways. It's going to need some water to clean it. But let's take a closer look, see if there's any scratches. Looks like the glass actually did crack right here. Wow. It's really brittle on the Sport Edition. This is actually made of a different material on the more expensive versions, but yeah, there's a lot of scratches on the sides here. Actual borders didn't hold up very well. The band is very dirty. There's a actual glass crack down here, and the display has a scratch that I can see right here. Other than that, there's a minor scratch. Held up pretty well. No, I don't see anything else. The body itself, man, this thing is pretty scratched up. Looks like it's, several months old already. And I'm sure the band will clean up nice, but it does attract quite a lot of dirt. Overall, though, I am pretty impressed. There's a pretty extreme condition, pretty extreme scratch test, and it held up very well. And just to give you guys a little closer look, there is a chip in the actual glass backing, which is kind of disappointing. I wonder if it'll interfere with the heart rate sensor. We'll test that at the end. But anyways, overall, though, not too bad. All right, I just wanted to see how this band would clean up if the dirt was ingrained in it. Wow, it's actually tougher than I thought. Looks like it has impacted the color a little bit. In my experience using even Apple iPhone cases, leather ones and the soft silicone, they get dirty over time and it's very hard to clean them. Looks like it's the same with this. When it scratches, the dirt gets in there and it's really hard to remove it. All right, so I do understand it's not a very common occurrence to drop a watch. I mean, it's attached to your wrist, but I want to see how the screen will take shock. So it's very likely you'll hit the Apple Watch on something. I've used the watches in the past and, it is very common to, bump your hand on something and hit it. So I want to do the same. However, the only way I can do that accurately is to drop it. If I were to swing my hand, it would swing with varying amounts of force. I couldn't really tell you, but gravity, it'll do the trick for us. So I'm going to try and drop it face down and see how it holds up. I'm going to do a couple of those. First, let's do back end. So to test that little heart rate sensor. Okay, so this is about waist height, where you'd be applying the watch to your wrist, and say slipped and it fell. Okay, so here we go. Waist height drop in 3, 2, 1. Okay. I got to tell you, this backing, it takes scratches in very well. So there's a nick probably from the concrete right there, and that's from the previous test. The coating's actually coming off of the glass. Interesting, but did not crack. Let's try the front end test now. Is working, just to show you guys. Oops. All right, so let's go ahead and perform a waist height Apple Watch drop test. So this is about the height where you'd be applying the watch to your wrist and say it falls out, slips out of your grasp and lands face first. And by the way, this is the Sport Edition. So again, this thing is geared towards shatter resistance, not so much for scratch resistance. The Apple Watch Edition will yield a different result. Anyways, so here we go. Let's go ahead and drop this guy waist height. 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay, not bad. So there's a scuff right there on the aluminum border. Let's go ahead and drop this one more time, see if it can hold up, try and get it more centered. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Not bad. So I can visibly see right here that there are scratches from the impact onto the concrete from about waist height. Border around the display gets chipped easily. Overall though, wow, I'm surprised. Scratches appear on the screen from where it dropped, but it's holding up well. The back doesn't seem quite as durable as the front. It does scratch easily, but of course, this thing is geared more towards shatter resistance. So why not? Let's go ahead and do one more drop just to get the final conclusive result. So waist height, putting it on, and it falls out. Okay, looks like I hit the other corner now. So the glass has chipped right there in the corner. It does chip easily, does scratch easily, but it does not shatter. So after 3 drops waist height, this thing is still working, and I'm pretty impressed. Looks good. But I have one final test for this guy. How will it fare when we drag it behind a car? All right, so we're gonna see how this thing fares if it's being dragged across the road from a vehicle. We're gonna go ahead and tie it to it and see just how durable this thing really is, how much scratches and bumps this thing could finally take before giving in and shattering either the back or the front. Anyways, here we go. It's about 10 feet behind the car. Cut this guy. Tie it to here. All right, so here it is. Let's go ahead and set this guy down. Oh my gosh. The back has held up pretty well. You can see some really deep scratches in there. Let's try it face down on the front end. I thought it'd flip over, but it didn't. Anyways, do the same thing. Ouch. It's dirty. So the front looks to be in working condition. Wow, that's not that bad. I thought it'd be worse. Yeah, there's a lot of deep scratches on it, but they're not so long. They're really short. The aluminum borders, man, they're shot. I mean, they're so scratched. This thing, man, let's go ahead and set this guy up, and I'm gonna see if the heart rate sensor still works after all of this abuse. But overall, display is working. You know, it is scratched, but it's still usable. After all this abuse, I'm surprised it's still surviving. All right, so here I have the Apple Watch. I just wanted to get it in a little bit more detail to show you guys the scratches, the true extent of dropping it, dragging it behind your car, and having it in a case full of bolts. So the display does work. You know, there's no difference there, but the band is really dirty. It's going to be hard to clean it up, and I'm not so sure that all of the dirt will get out of there. But overall, the display is pretty scratched up. The ion strengthened glass doesn't do very well when it comes to scratches, and the backing, the coating, the laminate is coming off. It hasn't cracked or anything, but it's coming off in many different places. I'm gonna go ahead and see if that works, the heart rate sensor. But overall, pretty rough condition, does work though. So here it is. So it's saying it's measuring. If this works, I will be very surprised after being dropped, dunked in water, sitting there all day, dragged behind a car. So looks like it hasn't worked there. Maybe it's because it's not tight enough. I'm gonna try and put it one notch in. Yeah, it looks like I think it might be busted. I cannot get my heart rate to be read. I'm gonna try pressing it in right here one final time, but I don't think it'll work. Maybe it's because I don't, oh wow, there we go. So it does work, but I gotta press it in really hard. I was pressing it in pretty hard. So that actually does work, but I don't know, for some reason it wasn't working very well just holding it there. So there we go, guys. It has held up despite all of the damage and scratches to drop tests, and overall I would trust this thing to daily usage. I mean, a year from now I think this thing is still going to look really good. All right, so thanks for watching, guys. We really appreciate it. As you can see, the Apple Watch can certainly take a lot of torture, from scratches to drops to water. This thing is very durable, at least the Sport Edition. I'm curious to see how the Apple Watch Edition will hold up in comparison to this, but overall, good job, Apple. Very good durability. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day and enjoy your Apple Watches if you have one. Peace.